Cameroon Bar Association and lead defense counsel of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and the other detainees of the Anglophone crisis, Barrister Fru John Soh. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
And we are receiving you at a time the situation in the two Anglophone regions of the country has continued deepening, while our authorities of the country maintain that the situation is under control. And in the declaration of the representative of Cameroon, or the permanent representative of Cameroon in the United Nations Organization, he said Cameroon is upright, Cameroon is as stubborn as the truth, and Cameroon is looking forward to its emergence by 2035.
Well, that is what they have been singing for the last 57 years, and more especially the last 3 years. They have been telling the world that the situation is under control. They forget that the world is now a global village. Everybody has the imageries of what is happening in Cameroon. All those 15 United Nations Security Council members, they have all information on Cameroon. So when an old diplomat sits there with all the experience he has and lies openly, well, judicial notice is being taken. They don't know what is going to happen next, but the Security Council has met. They will act when the time comes. If Mr. Bia is not willing to do what they say.
What are the stakes of such a meeting, though referred to as informal or area?
Listen, diplomats have a way of framing things. The meeting was informal, as they say, because they didn't want anybody to veto. There were some slide votes where, for Cameroon, there were 4 people, four countries. For against Cameroon, there were 10, and then China was neutral. But during the debates after that, you heard China's position. Well, I can say Cameroon had 5, and the rest of the people against Cameroon had 10, and far-reaching resolutions have been taken. The fact that it was clearly said that the Southern Cameroon have a right to self-determination. I'm not going to enter into the other nitty-gritties of the resolutions. Let's wait. The days, weeks, and months ahead will tell if Cameroon continues to lie to the world. Imagine that the Minister of Foreign Affairs issued a communique, an official communique, saying that there will be no meeting, that meeting is not a Security Council meeting.
It's fake news.
And it turned out that it was a Security Council meeting, and the Cameroon ambassador to the United Nations was there to represent Cameroon. What the hell is going on in this country with lies? You lie even on official documents.
Now, Southern Cameroonians have a right to
self-determination. Yes.
What is it, self-determination?
Self-determination is that we have a right to determine what to do with ourselves. We want to govern ourselves. We want to be in control of ourselves. We have a right. We are recognized as a people. We came into this, it was clearly stated, we came into this union as 2 different countries, 2 different entities. When the negotiations, what they call dialogue, I call it negotiations. When they will finish, if there's a deadlock, everybody goes his way, and we'll have our country. We restored our independence that we had in 1961, and they had theirs in 1960. So what is all this running around and making noise, panicking all over the place? If they knew that United Nations Security Council meeting was not the real Security Council meeting, why at the same time send the Prime Minister to go around mounting people to take to Bamenda, mounting people to take to the Southwest, and telling people how they want to? Now the head of state wants to negotiate and putting conditions. The United Nations Security Council is saying negotiations or dialogue without precondition. Now they have put their own precondition. We'll talk about everything except separation.
No, we'll come back to the Prime Minister's visit to the 2 Anglophone regions in a short while. But first, when the Security Council members meet and they are expressing worries. What can we foresee in the nearest future? Intervention of those countries?
Did you listen to the Russian ambassador? According to the Russians, intervention is the only thing that can solve the problem, which that it is serious enough for an immediate intervention. But the Security Council works in a very subtle and not very fast manner. They give the country concerned a little bit of time to see how they act. Let me tell you, this country is full of lies. They deceive themselves. They just sit around, deceive themselves. They deceive the public. If tomorrow you hear that the United Nations peacekeeping force or intervention forces in the Northwest and Southwest, would you blame anybody? Because they are not taking it seriously. They only know how to pretend.
How are they not taking it seriously? The Prime Minister is in the Northwest. The
what is he doing there?
Was there.
What is he doing there?
Some measures had been
telling
taken
lies
by
all over the place that Amber boys have given their arms. You cannot be fighting a war with two people and you want to you want the others to drop their arms while you hold your own. What is he talking about? All those Atanga boys that were mounted in Bamenda to be reading all kinds of speeches.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that all the actions that government has been taking so far to solve this problem?
No action that the government has taken that gets to the core of this matter. No action. What has the government done? Those fake commissions. What is the bilingualism commission got to do with the war? Disarmament the commission only comes after a war, not before a war, not during a war.
Now, looking at the present context, what
have they done?
Looking at the present context and the management of the crisis by the Cameroon government, what are the instruments that could be used by the United Nations Security Council to intervene, and when could that
Listen,
happen?
The humanitarian situation is getting worse and worse. The killings, the targeted killings by the army, we have lost. The Northwest and Southwest has lost. Or what I will call the Southern Cameroons. There's nothing in my mind called the Northwest and Southwest. The Southern Cameroon, we have lost more than 10,000 people. And we continue to lose people. We have lost more than 215 villages. The United Nations Security Council will intervene. Let Cameroon hold that in his head, that they will intervene at some point. Because Cameroon is not doing anything to help. Cameroon is not doing anything to solve the crisis. They said dialogue without preconditions. They are putting preconditions. Running over around, go to Bamenda, talk about how we are willing to, okay, the head of state now has decided to negotiate everything except separation. It has not graduated from secessionist to separation.
Is that not a positive move?
No, monsieur. No, sir. No. Everything is on the table. We will be going to that negotiating table without precondition, but we have an agenda.
Everything should be put on the table.
Everything on the table.
But the Prime Minister, for example, says no.
Well, then there's no negotiation. Then there's nothing. That's when the Security Council will come in.
No fund will accept to divide his kingdom.
Okay, then somebody will come in and divide that kingdom. That's the role of the United Nations Security Council. If that's what they are saying. They should have followed those debates and listened to the communiques that have come out. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and start analyzing what is going to happen, but I know something will happen if this government continues to talk about precondition. We'll talk about everything except separation. Who are they deceiving?
And the Norwegian Security Council described the Anglophone crisis as one of the world's most neglected crisis in the world, because the United Nations has gone quiet. The Cameroon government has been doing everything to bribe everybody in the United Nations to look the other way, but the United States cannot look the other way. Britain, I'm happy that Britain has joined the United States, along with Germany, along with Dominican Republic, along with South Africa, along with others, to tell this government that if you are not ready for negotiations, we will come in. And first of all, they will stop
the humanitarian crisis and stop the war. And I am advising Mr. Biya, call for ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, by unilateral, because you started the war. If the government withdraws its troops, our boys will put down their arms. And then release all, including our leader who is sitting there in Kodenge, release all Anglophones who have been arrested because of this matter. And number 3, pass an amnesty for those who are living abroad who cannot come back to their country because of you threatening to arrest them. Pass an amnesty so that those who were going to negotiate on the side of Southern Cameroon and Bazonia will come into the country, go to ground zero, consult our people, and then we'll start the negotiation. Not in this country. The negotiation will not take place in Cameroon, and the mediator is not going to be from Cameroon. That's why I sent a message to Mr. Frundi. You are not an honest broker.
Why should you take a problem that is in Cameroon to go and to find solutions?
Because Cameroon has shown that they cannot solve this problem. No, every Cameroonian is polarized.
All right, thank you, Barrister Fru John Soh, Senior Legal Mind, member of the Cameroon Bar Association. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.